Do you have any questions?
Please explain how a human being is born.
After death, the life that a soul leads in the subconscious world is determined by the person's past thoughts and actions. In that world, one experiences various sufferings and sorrows, or perhaps joys, and goes through activities that will serve for one's spiritual progress. Then, when the senior, high-ranking spirits who are in charge of one's spiritual education, or else one's guardian divinity, think that experiences in the physical world will be more beneficial for one's spiritual advancement than continued experiences in the subconscious world, the soul will be transferred to a transitional area to await rebirth into the physical world. There, the soul will wait until it is time to be reborn into the physical world. Except for very highly evolved spirits, the consciousness of the soul in the transitional area is kept asleep. If one were in a waking state, it would be painful, beyond the endurance of ordinary souls, to be transferred from the subtle vibration of the subconscious world to the rough vibration of the physical world. However, among highly purified spirits there are some who endure the pains with an awakened consciousness, and return to the spiritual world either after staying in their mother's body for a while or else immediately after being born as a baby. In doing so they become completely free from their karmic cause and effect. Average souls are born without any memory of the time they spent in the subconscious world. Their past memories do not return throughout their entire lives until the death of their physical bodies. They go through the cycles of death to birth and birth to death many times, and thus they gradually get rid of karmic cause and effect. The souls who are born have a close relationship with either their fathers or mothers in previous lifetimes. Many of them have a blood relationship, and the frequencies of their thoughts resemble each other. This is why children resemble their parents in their physical appearance. Occasionally, though, there are cases of non-blood relationships. But even in these cases, the thought frequencies of the souls to be born do resemble those of the parents. Even though their thought frequencies are similar, there are some cases where a great person or else a person of small caliber is born vastly different from their parents. This is due to differences in the size of the light of the spirit, in the degree of the spirit's purity, or in the experiences accumulated through previous lifetimes. In addition, the way a child is educated before birth, while in the mother's womb, also contributes to the difference between parents and child. In the transitional area of the subconscious world, many souls are awaiting their birth into the physical world. Among them are several spirits who are related to a particular couple, say Mr. and Mrs. A. It is important to know that the spirit conceived is the one who best matches with the thoughts of Mr. and Mrs. A at the time of sexual intercourse. The vibrational frequencies of their thoughts and the kinds of thoughts they have at that time will determine the selection of the spirit to be conceived. For example, if Mr. and Mrs. A are engaged in sexual intercourse with high and pure sentiments, a high and pure spirit is conceived. If their thoughts are discordant, a rough spirit is conceived. Therefore, the relationship between husband and wife is very important. If you wish to have a good and fine child, the mental attitude of you and your spouse at the time of sexual intercourse is much more important than either. The prenatal training of the unborn child or the education the child receives after birth. The baby's guardian divinity observes the relationships between the baby and each of the prospective parents through previous lifetimes, as well as the couple's thoughts at the time of sexual intercourse, and allows the baby to be conceived. The period required for rebirth differs according to the karma of the spirits. In recent times, the period has been considerably shortened, and many spirits are reborn 2 to 3 years or else 7 to 8 years after death. However, it is not that the spirit itself is reborn, but rather that thoughts that have accumulated in the subconscious world, and are commonly referred to as spirit or soul, gathers haku, atoms that compose the physical body, and is reborn into the physical world. All the motive power comes from the origin of the spirit, called direct spirit, and the spirit's guardian divinity controls the birth. Therefore, while the person called Mr. A lives in the physical world as a result of this rebirth process, the accumulated thoughts of the spirit called Mr. A, which continue from previous lifetimes, simultaneously carry on their own life in the subconscious world. This is like a double image. In other words, the thoughts are active through 3 worlds: spiritual, subconscious and physical. The power of the thought activity derives from the individual spirit, whose origin is in the direct spirit. However, this sort of explanation is so complex and intricate that you might find it satisfactory simply to sum up the whole process with the commonly used term, rebirth of souls. I would also like to mention here that, in Japanese, this physical world is called
写しよ
projected world, which means the world that is projected from the spiritual world.